Well, aloha kakahiaka and welcome everybody. Today is April 16th, 2021, and this is the pregame show of the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Peter Kay, and we are warming up our microphones, warming up our audience here. We've got Heidi Heidi Dollinger, who's with us from the Big Island. We've got Scott Startzman, who's with us from Oahu, and we've got Dylan Nonaka, who is with us from the Big Island. So we we're going to warm up our microphones over here. Heidi, you were the first one in today's studio. How are things out in Maui? What's the coffee? And is that a Maui? Is that that's a black pearl necklace, if I'm not mistaken, correct? What's up, Heidi?
It's just a beautiful day here on Maui, super clear. If I wasn't here on the show, I'd probably be jumping in the ocean right now. It's a great day. But I did get to go to my favorite coffee shop, and I'm drinking Yellow Katura coffee. It's delicious, and I'm excited to be here with everybody.
Yellow Katura, what is that? What is Yellow Katura?
It's one of the Maui coffees here. It's just really, really smooth and flavorful. It's one of my go-tos.
Awesome. Yeah, it is a gorgeous day today. I'm looking right out my window there, and it's fabulous. Scott, we can see part of the gorgeosity behind you. It looks like a nice haircut as well, if I do say so myself. Scott, what's going on? What's the Aloha shirt? How's it going?
Yeah, it's been so crazy. My hair got out of control. I didn't even have time to go to the grocery store get a haircut. So I finally snuck one in. But
I was gonna say, do you get your haircuts at the grocery store? Is that what I thought? No. I heard you say? Oh, okay.
But both essentials I wasn't able to get to for a while. It was my refrigerator was empty. It was eat out all the time because I've been so busy working. I haven't had any time to go to the grocery store. So I was able to sneak in a haircut. Finally, I needed it. It was getting out of control, but. Got my second cup of coffee with my Waikiki coffee mug here, and 73 degrees. We're in that springtime period here where the temperature is perfect, the weather's perfect.
Yeah.
You can sleep at night with the windows open. And you just feel it feels great. You wake up during the day. It's not uncomfortable at all. It feels so good. I've been able to get in the ocean the last couple of days and swim, so it's been feeling really good.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with that. And Jim is with us. Jim, I've got your slide ready for you. The question that you put in, we'll be covering that in a second. But welcome, Jim, our reliable audience there. Dylan, give us the report from the Big Island there. I got humble. I see humble above you there. That's good. Humble Dylan, go for it. Unmute yourself.
It's only half of it. It says "Stay hungry, stay humble." That's the whole thing. Maybe a closing thought today, but no, it's beautiful over here too. It's just you can just feel the people that are here. There's after it's been kind of building up, but still, now there's a little bit of road construction going on, and just there's a lot of traffic. For what we have here on the Big Island, but it's definitely cars are still totally sold out, and yeah, we're getting back to normal. It feels like
back to normal. I've got a story about that I'm going to share. But what's the weather like? Is it as perfect in Kona as it is today on Maui and Oahu?
Pretty much, yeah. I can see outside, and it's not a cloud in the sky, just blue sky. It's beautiful. So
yeah.
It's been drier. After a few months there of pretty rainy weather, it's dried up. So we planted grass. So I've been having to water the grass, or my kids anyway, not me. But
there you go. The kids at the weather. I'm actually gonna be. I've got my weather series. Last year, because I had all of my months of weather lined up, but last year because of COVID, I skipped April. I think I skipped April, May, and maybe June. And so I got my April video I recorded a couple days ago, and it was at one of these just absolutely fabulous days. So reflecting on what Scott is saying, we got a bunch of other folks are joining us over here. Christopher Longley, happy Aloha Friday from Menominee, Michigan. Welcome, Christopher. Great to see you. Mark Whitehill, a member of the Islander Ohana. Welcome, Mark. Good to see you. Aloha from Oklahoma. And I envy that. There used to, Mark, can you find where's the link where that there used to be a link, and that's what you use, but there used to be a link you could go to and create your own South Park character, and I created one a long time ago. But that makes me think about that. And Joyce is again with us. Joyce, Dylan's Calabash auntie is here with us, who's from the Big Island. Good morning to all. Judy Hey, Judy, how's it? Welcome, Judy. Happy Aloha Friday, man. Everyone's here. This is great. Jen,
Judy's here in town right now too, looking at property.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, I hope she's gonna have a good time. I hope she's having a good time. Well, Judy, I hope you're enjoying the weather. This is perfect Kona weather. Jen is with us. Jen Tomoka. We had snow yesterday. I'm sorry, Jen. I'm sorry, but it's perfect. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect here. It's a gorgeous day. I don't know if you can hear the birds. Your birds in the background there. Jim David from San Diego. Welcome, Jim. Great to see you. Jeremy's back. Aloha, Jeremy. You were, if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy, you were looking for trying to get a gig as a the price estimating. What's the price estimating people called? What are those people called?
Appraisers.
Appraisers. Thank you. That's what it is. Tom Means with us. Tom, how's it? Hope you had a happy Easter. Yes, Tom. Christ is risen. We had a happy Easter. And Christina's with us. Hey, Christina, how's it going? Christina, working with, and your buddy Scott's over here. Christina's been having quite an adventure on Oahu. I hope that's all going well. Loving everything. Excellent. Great. Hey, this is great. You guys are phenomenal. And Dale's with us. Follow us on YouTube. Yes, Dale, thank you. And we're great to have you here. This is so fun. I got to tell you guys, I am having a good time. Appraiser. That's it. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it, buddy. All right. Hey, it is 9:01. So we need to get this party started over here, and let's get with our quick update on news today. And the news is lots of stuff going on, but it looks like this vaccine passport's on its way. They're saying that May 1st is going to be the first rollout for this vaccine passport. What they're intending on, for example, we got this from Governor Josh Green. He's saying that May 1st is going to be the first initial rollout date for inter-island travel. So if inter-island travel, of course, that means if you're going from island to island, if you've got a valid vaccine passport, and they're going to be coming up with some apps that can hold that and show that, etc. We're going to wait. They haven't given us details, but presumably it's some kind of an app. You'll be able to travel inter-island without having to go to be quarantined. Which is great. And of course, following on with that, they're going to be doing lost my train of thought here, the vaccine passport for trans-Pacific travel. If you're coming from the U.S. mainland or from elsewhere, landing in Hawaii, if you have a vaccine passport, they're planning on, if you can show that, you'll be able to skip quarantine. There's not a firm date on that yet, but they are saying that's going to happen sometime in the summer. The name of the game, as always, is planning. Make sure you do planning. Maui, I want to hear more details about this one, Heidi, because Maui is doing a secondary test. They're implementing a mandatory secondary test upon arrival for trans-Pacific flights, meaning that if you are traveling from the mainland directly to Maui, that's a trans-Pacific or trans-Pac flight. Trans-Pacific travelers arriving in Kahului Airport will soon be required to undergo a mandatory secondary COVID-19 rapid test upon arrival, or face a mandatory 10-day quarantine. And apparently my understanding about that is the county of Maui will be paying for that secondary test. What Dylan mentioned earlier, things are coming back to quote unquote normal, and the surge in tourism arrivals looks like it. The bookings are cranking up. One of the CEOs of a prominent travel company said, we haven't seen travel demand for Hawaii this strong for over a year. Our vaccines are on their way. We're going to hit 1 million doses now. I think Hawaii's population is 1.4 million people in the state, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but that's about right. Someone do a Google search and throw that number out to me, but I think that's about right. And we're going to be crossing over that threshold. And you look at my graphs over here on the right-hand side, those graphs are, the top one is the cases and the bottom one is the fatalities. And you can see that looks like the fatalities are not tracking anymore with the cases. We'll see how that goes in a little bit more time to kind of verify that to see. Final story here. Residents take back the beach. So what's going on is interesting. This is to Dylan's point that as things come back to normal, what that also means is crowded beaches. And so we residents, we were kind of spoiled because we had the beaches all to ourselves. And now that the beaches are getting crowded, apparently it's not going over so well. And Maui, there was actually a demonstration in Maui, a peaceful demonstration. Demonstrators gathered peacefully on Wailea Beach on Saturday to offer a message to send a message to government and tourism officials that the tourism management is sorely needed. So it looks like we got some people that are upset that their beaches are much more crowded than they used to be, and that's kind of what's going on with that. So I think that's basically the end of the news over here. And what I like to do is maybe do a quick roundup on this, on anything news related that we have to report on. First of all, Heidi, did you catch that story about the residents, the peaceful demonstration in Wailea about, take back our beach? Have you heard about that at all? Or is there anything else that you want to report on that happened in Maui over the past 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting that tourism is returning and we're welcoming back visitors. But I mean, there is some fear too, still with COVID and all these vacation rentals, they're turning over so quickly. And I mean, cleaners need a chance to go in and clean and implement all the COVID protocols and everything. So it's really kind of a balance of welcoming visitors, but also being safe and protecting the families that live here too on Maui and are out there working. And it's been such a dramatic difference in the amount of tourism from last year in the middle of the pandemic to now. So I think it's just kind of an adjustment for everybody. But for the most part, people are here and vacationing and super happy and loving it. I would say that's the majority. This secondary test could be complicated for people if they have a negative COVID test, fly here, somehow get a positive COVID test when they arrive. I mean, I'm not sure how that's going to go. So anyway,
it's gonna suck if it happens. Thanks, Heidi. Scott, any news updates on Oahu, not real estate related, over the past couple of weeks that you wanted that I missed on, or that you think are significant to report about?
I don't think newsworthy. I mean, when I was looking, I think we're about 40% of where we were pre-COVID as far as number of tourists coming here.
That's what I've heard too, something like that.
But man, it feels busy when I'm out and about, and even the traffic. I mean, I had someone I'm working with. We were showing out on the Leeward Coast, and it took an hour and a half to get out there the other day just for the showing appointment. So traffic's back. The locals are back to work at a more regular pace. Construction's picked up. Tourists are here, so it feels almost normal at this point. From that capacity of busyness and traffic patterns.
I mean, I think, when you have it where basically Waikiki goes from ghost town, nobody there, just like, it's like one of those, dystopian kind of flicks, right? Where, everyone's dead. I shouldn't even say it that way, but where everyone's gone, and now all of a sudden 40%, it's packed. Dylan, any news on the Big Island that you want to report on that occurred over the past 2 weeks?
Yeah, Hawaii County is going to start a pilot program for Trans-Pacific travelers. So that's something to look into if you're looking to travel from outside of the U.S. So that, I guess, is going to run through May 1st. They're starting like a pilot program to start that process. So that should be interesting. And then the other big news for me is that my younger son went back to school full time this week. So that's been,
man,
he's super stoked about that. The older one's still at home, but yeah, so the elementary school is starting to, it doesn't seem like it's like highly publicized, and each school seems like they're doing it on a different schedule, but Konoana Elementary went back to school full time this week, and so far so good.
Yeah, excellent. That's it seems that life is kind of coming back to normal. That's kind of what it smells like. Let me do a quick catch up on a bunch of comments that we've gotten from everybody. Let's see. Yeah. So Gina, yeah, Scott's the best. Gina, that's what didn't I tell you? I told that Christina, that's what I told y'all. Scott's the bomb. And I concur. Thank you. Mark, on those avatar creators. Yeah. Thanks, man. I'll have to catch up on that. I'll find one. If I find one, I'll let you know. Dale Diego wants a Mai Tai now. You know what? I would go for a Mai Tai now, but it's 9 o'clock in the morning and it's a little too early for Mai Tais. But Dale, maybe where you're at, it's not, it's a little bit, it's Mai Tai time, certainly for Friday. Hey, Master J.M. Isidrio Jr., hello from San Francisco. We plan to move there 4 to 5 years from Maui. Master, you want to make sure you get that. I got a form in the description. You came in from Facebook. There's a form in that thing. Click on that form. Let me connect you with the best on Maui, who is Heidi. And Tom confirmed my 1.4 population on Hawaii, correct. Kenneth, passports are legal under Nuremberg law. Yeah, I don't think they're going to force passports. They're just going to make it where if you have a passport, you can skip quarantine and you don't need a test. So you don't have to get the passport. You could just kind of show up and you could go through quarantine for 10 days, or you could come with a negative test and skip through quarantine, or you can have a passport. 70%. Yeah, Mark, we're almost there, man. We are, I think herd immunity is right around the corner. I'm certainly hoping that it is. And we have our Austin. This is Islander Ohana member. They're in the Islander Ohana members are in a separate private Facebook group. If you want, next time you guys post, if you're posting from the Islander Ohana private Facebook group, make sure you give us your name, because there's a security, a by design security feature of Facebook. People who post from Facebook groups do not have their name shown. That's by design. Did I do that all in one breath? Okay. Next up, what do we got here? We've got our real estate market update. So let's kind of roll through kind of what's been going on. Now, it's week after week after week. It's been crazy. It's been wild. The market's going nuts. We know all that. Give us something new about what's kind of happened on the market. Let's go down up. We'll go Dylan, and then Scott, and then Heidi. Dylan, what's something new to tell us about of what's been happening on the Big Island? Something that's newsworthy. And make sure you unmute. There you go.
Yeah, so the quick summary is, I mean, not much has changed. It's actually gotten even crazier. But I'll share with you just a quick kind of stat to illustrate what's going on here. So, and this is going to be the last time really it's going to make sense to be looking at data from a year ago, right? Normally we compare month-to-month data from a year ago, and that gives us some indication of what's changed or what's went up or what's down. But if we look at March of 2020, which is the last month really where we had normal data, because after that, everything shut down and people stopped coming. But those were 2 months where January and February, those deals went in under contract. So March closings were still kind of reflective of a normal, normal time. But back in March of last year, there was about 3,500 properties on the Big Island available, and there was 754 in escrow or under contract. And today, in March of 2021, there are almost 1,600 active listings, so less than half of what there was a year ago. And there are 1,631 properties under contract. So there is one property under contract for every single property that is available. And that includes every single property in Ocean View and Lower Puna, the 1 acre, $10,000 lots where there's hundreds of them available. So this is crazy. I mean, it's like a 1-to-1 ratio right now of properties that are available versus properties that are under contract.
That is. I think the word is, and Judy, who's a member of the Islander Ohana, bananas, and that's the word that you've used in the past.
And Judy's definitely experiencing that. I mean, we're trying to look at houses, and it's like as soon as something comes on, we try and schedule an appointment, and then it's under contract before we can even get there. 24 hours later. So it's pretty frustrating.
Bananas. Yeah, thank you, Judy. Well said. And Kinaya, awesome. Welcome, Kinaya. Kinaya is also an alumni member of the Islander Ohana. She has gone through the five cohort meetings, and great to see you, Kinaya. And Kinaya will be, hopefully we're going to be doing a meetup. Haven't planned the exact date yet, but we're going to be doing a meetup on Oahu in June for Islander Ohana members and alumni. And so I am looking forward to that. I think Mark, one of the alumni, Mark, had an idea that it's a long story, but we're going to have chocolate shakes at Baby Makapu. There's a story behind all that. But anyway, let's see what else we got over here. So yes, great. Definitely good. My master for sure. We'll hook you up with Heidi for sure. Yeah, Kinai, if I can find a car, the car thing is just more bananas on cars. Turo, right? I mentioned Turo. Kinai, you'd be curious if you found anything on Turo on Oahu. Dylan, be curious. Did you ever rent your car? Dylan, you were talking about renting your car with Turo. Whatever happened with that?
I did not, mainly just because I don't have the time to set it all up, and it's probably a bad excuse. But yeah, I have not. But I do have a spare car just sitting ready to go.
Well,
So.
not have the time is a euphemism for it means I'm too busy making money in another way. It's not worth my time to. That's what that really means, which is great.
And it is nice to hold on to. So when friends visit and they're having issues, I can offer a car to them. So that's one of my disincentives. Is that's more important to me, is to have it available for folks if they're visiting and they can't find a car. So
yeah. But I did check on Turo, for example, and there's people on the Big Island that are renting out their cars like yours, and they're $300 a day. So Dylan, you must be very successful if you don't have time for $300 a day to rent out a car that you're not using. I say God bless you. That's what I got to say. Yeah. So can I be curious about that? And Jessica is also a alumni of the Honor Hunter. Ready for the meetup, right, Jess? And we're looking forward to that. Jessica is also coming to Oahu, but going to be there in June. So that is actually going to be fun. I am really looking forward to that. Kind of losing my place over here. So who's up next? Heidi. What's up with is it Heidi's turn? Let's see. Yes. No, wait, it's Scott's turn. Scott, give me what's going on. Give us some news of what's happening on Oahu, real estate wise.
Yeah, so I got some new stuff for you. So, I've been talking about condos, right? I've switched from single family homes to condos, and for a reason. So, condo sales, if we look this month versus previous, are up 53%. The number of sales compared to the same time last year. Price is up 3.7%. But pending sales, meaning number of escrows, are up 70%. So the movement is happening. I've been talking about it. I see it. It's happening to the condo side now. It's bananas and crazy in the housing market, but it's starting to move to the condo side. But the interesting thing is, and Dylan was just talking about that, talking about the number of available properties. There's 1,348 condos on the market. Last year, there was probably 1,600. So we're not that far off from where we were in kind of a normal marketplace, or where we were last year, which was kind of more of a normal marketplace. But the inventory is going to start to shrink. The number of sales are increasing. Prices going up in condos. And that coincides with the tourists coming back. So, keep an eye on that. That's what's going to be going up. I mean, the single family home side is up 20% in price. So that area is just absolutely bonkers, and now people are starting to move to the condo side, and I'm seeing more and more strength in the condo side, but you do have options in the condo side.
Excellent. Scott, thanks for that update. Again, what this is, if you've been regularly watching the show, you've heard Scott say this, that once the single family home market kind of got sort of taken up, and condo was going to follow, and condo is now following. Heidi, give us the Maui update.
Well, it seems like buyers are becoming more motivated. Sellers are becoming less motivated. I reached out to some people who were talking about selling last year, and now their feeling is everything's going great, not going to list the place. Just some market data on Maui. So comparing first 3 months of last year, 2020, which was a pretty good market, to first 3 months of this year, 2021, number of condos under contract has increased 127.4%. Single family homes under contract has increased 61.8%. And I'm sure that number would be higher if we had more inventory. So when we're saying bananas, I mean, everybody's just working in the real estate industry. I mean, whether you're an appraiser, escrow person, realtor, there's a lot going on. But one thing I did want to mention is, just because the market's crazy doesn't mean every listing you should pay above full price for. So that's where I think it's really important to connect with a good realtor. Of all my escrows right now, I mean, there's still, most of them, there is some negotiation in price. I mean, there are times when it makes sense to offer way above asking price, but there's also times when it doesn't. So anyway, just because the market's crazy, don't go crazy yourself.
Don't go crazy. And that's almost a closing thought there. Don't go crazy with the crazy market. Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. You guys are great. There's like all kinds of fun comments that are coming in. Let me kind of get a few over here. So we've got let's see here. So Marcus, what percentage of people are having to offer above asking price? Everybody or just a few? Well, to your point, Heidi, I guess not everybody, but what's the general feeling on that? Here, let me ask you this. What percentage of homes are selling at asking price? Anything above zero? Is anything still for asking price? Scott, go ahead.
So the number that I've been looking at is that it's 60% of the homes are selling above asking on Oahu.
60%
above.
Heidi,
so 40 or at or below. So
40 or at, well, there's the good news. 40 are at or below. Heidi, you have a sense of what percentage of homes are getting above asking price? Any sense?
I don't have that data point.
What's your feeling? What's your intuition saying?
Less. I mean, it's less. There's still a lot of properties that are closing right now below asking. But then there's also situations, I mean, I've been in representing buyers in a couple multiple offer situations where they made an offer 80,000 above asking price and didn't get it. So, I mean, it depends. It depends. It depends on the situation. And it's important to assess what the situation is on the particular listing or market you're in, and then make a decision from there.
So Dylan, what's the ratio that you would throw at?
So inside baseball for this stat, which is a hard one to nail down, is that so average right now with what the stats are showing is 98% average is 98% list to sold price. So people are almost getting 100% on average of what they're asking. But the inside baseball on this is a trick that realtors use is if they get a property under contract over list price, they change the MLS list price to what the contracted price is because it helps with appraisals in this crazy market. Because the appraisers are going to look at what you listed it for, what you're under contract for. It's one of the things that they're factoring in. And so what people do sometimes is they will, after the fact, after the property goes under contract, change the MLS list price to what they're under contract for, so it matches up and it doesn't look like it's 50,000 over asking price. And sometimes that helps with an appraisal. So sometimes a stat doesn't always reflect exactly what was going on at the time of the contract negotiation because they'll adjust that after the fact.
Inside baseball. Yeah. Love the inside baseball scoop.
Mark, but I would say in general, just my feeling is if the property is priced properly, it does sell for over ask, but there are people being crazy and being super ambitious and putting a house on that's worth $650 for $800,000, and it does sit there because, I mean, no matter how crazy the market is, buyers aren't going to grossly overpay. So
they're not that crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, the advice we give sellers is don't be crazy. Just let's price this the way we normally would and let the market take care of it at that point. Because if you miss and you're 60,000 over what it would normally sell for, you may be missing out on getting 50,000 over because you're just too high and nobody's going to offer for it. Where if you listed it right and you get 3 or 4 multiple offers and people bid it up over asking price, you may get 50,000 over where you missed it if you priced it at 60,000 over. So it's still, you got to be smart about it. You can't be crazy, but again, so I got to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing because just throwing a shot out in the dark is not a strategy. So.
Our motto for today is "Don't be crazy." I think that's that's today's motto. Hey, Scott, we had a question from our good long-term friend Jim asking about Kakaako condos. How are those doing? Availability in the general. First of all, what's the availability like with the Kakaako condos, and is there a price? Is kind of a price range that you can speak to, Scott, to address Jim's question?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I've been keeping a close eye on Kakaako, Ala Moana, and Waikiki just because that's been a different segment for a little while, and I knew things were shifting, so I pay closer attention to those when I do see that shift. There's 150 units in Kakaako alone that are on the market for sale right now. 85 are in escrow, and 220 have sold in the last 6 months. So plenty to choose from, and there's a lot of buying and selling activity that's going on there. The lowest sale was roughly 400,000. That's basically going to get you a studio, maybe a small 1-bedroom. And the highest sale was over 10 million, which is going to be a penthouse unit in probably Ward Village or close to a penthouse unit. But 670,000 is the median price in the Kakaako area.
670. Okay. So quick summary answer, Scott, is I see 670,000 is the median price, which means half sold above and half sold below, and there is availability. So Jim, you've been with us for a while, buddy. Make sure we make sure we connect you with Scott so you can kind of get your process. You can get going over here. Let's see. We've got a couple of follow-up comments over here. So Michael says, "Hey Dylan, we should warn visitors. We should warn visitors to Hapuna Beach." Which Michael believes is the best beach on the Big Island, that they occasionally have little mini tornadoes. Almost got my head cut off by a beach umbrella flying into my face last Thursday. Oh, the old Hapuna Beach mini tornadoes. Dylan, you want to, what's your experience, Dylan? What's going on with Hapuna Beach? I was on Hapuna once or twice. The weather must have been more perfect. Didn't have the mini tornado. Have you ever experienced that on Hapuna?
It does weird stuff because it's really windy out there, right? That's the north side of the island. So we've talked about that before, how the north and south sides of the island have that weather wrapping around. So
right,
you do get little weird phenomenon like that, and water spouts too. You'll see the tornadoes in the water, which is a pretty cool thing. But yes, that does happen, and it can cause chaos with beach umbrellas.
Watch for flying beach umbrellas. Kenai is going to be doing a tour. What's kind of pricey? Beyond the bus. Well, you can't beat the bus, man. Bus pass. You can get around the island. You got time to kill. You'll be riding around in style. And the big yellow, well, we used to call it in Chicago, it's called the big green limousine. The buses in Chicago were green, but here I guess it's the big yellow striped limousine. That's just not going to work. Charles is in escrow on a home in Oahu. Okay, good luck, Charles. I know Scott, if you're working as Charles, I don't know if you're working with Scott or not, but regardless, hope your transaction goes well. Jeremy, I'm assuming he's commenting on Dylan's comment about changing the listing price, the inside baseball, and it does drive them crazy. So yeah, I'm sure. Jim, you got it, buddy. Scott's the man, and time is right. Well, there you go. That's it. Well, then make sure get Scott on your team. So here's a question from Master. Can you ask Heidi what is the range for a single family home, 4 to 5 bedroom on Maui? I'd like to get a number so I know what to plan this. Heidi, how would you answer Jim's questions for a single family 4 to 5 bedroom home on Maui? Median price, kind of average price, etc. What do you think?
Well, the median price right now for a single family home on Maui is $952,000. And I would say the average home doesn't have 4 to 5 bedrooms, more like a 3-bedroom. So you're probably looking at, I would say, $1.5 million plus for something like that. And it depends. I mean, it depends on the area.
There's always factors, but if you're going to if you want a number to plan for, right, you want to kind of have about a 1.5 ready to get that single family home. Is that right, Heidi?
Yeah, that would kind of be starting. Got it.
Excellent. Jim David, I got your question about assisted communities. We actually have a segment in the show. We'll be talking about that. So I'm going to hold on to that. All right. I think we've covered our stuff on Maui, on real estate. Let's get on to our kind of big topic, our Hawaii topic for today, single income living. So there's a big topic over here. I want to kind of get everyone's feedback on this. So this is from Bailey, who's from Utah, northern Utah. And Bailey says, in the future, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, I am planning on moving to Hawaii. I would be going by myself. I would love advice on living there with one income. Thank you. So I think what I wanted to do today is to leverage on this, because I came here completely by myself. Didn't know a soul when I landed on Oahu. Scott, you also came here somewhat by yourself, but you have family on the Big Island. Heidi, you kind of came here by yourself in a way. Dylan, I guess you were born here, so you're outside this conversation, but I want to hear some feedback. So, what kind of, what would you say to Bailey? What kind of, based on your experience, and Heidi, let's have you start with this. Just based on your experience, what kind of advice would you give to Bailey, who's going about it alone? What kind of advice would you give to Bailey?
Well, I mean, everybody's so different as far as what you need with financial security and a living situation. When I moved to Maui, I mean, I was on my own. I had no job. I did know that I would be able to afford at least very modest housing for the next 6 months to a year. I did buy a car when I moved over. It didn't really make sense for me to ship my car because you're spending a lot shipping it. So I think I found my first car on Craigslist, and it was what's known as a Maui cruiser, which is just, an inexpensive car to drive around the island. And then
AKA a beater.
I was able to enjoy about 6 weeks of vacation, early retirement, and then I had to go out and get a job. And I guess I had confidence in myself that I was going to go find something. And my first job was actually working at an art gallery where I sold antique maps. And it was not a high paying job, but it was pretty fun. And just went from there.
So what would be if you were to summarize, what would be the headline, as far as you know, what's the headline thing, the one thing that you would kind of give Bailey as far as the advice of moving to Hawaii by themselves?
Well, I mean, I can only speak from my experience, and being able to pay for a place to live. And the first place I lived was very modest, but I could easily afford it. And you do need a car to drive around. I mean, those are the basics. And then food is food. I mean, there's not too much else you need. But I mean, I'm not sure if you have a job you're moving with and working remotely, or if you're getting a job.
Everyone's different.
I mean,
everyone's different.
So that's kind of different. I mean, when I made the move, I was pretty conservative about what I was spending, because I wanted to, just make sure I liked it here and get used to my lifestyle. So I pretty much just found a really affordable place to start out, and that worked well for me.
Scott, what's your take? You came here by yourself, but you've got family here, right? You have family on the Big Island. How does your story unfold, and what advice do you have for Bailey?
I mean, I ended up with a beater here too as well, and I actually loved it. I had this teeny little Nissan pickup truck that was covered in dirt, dust. It had dings, scratches, the whole 9 yards. I ended up collecting sand from pretty much every beach on the Big Island, because wherever I would go, I didn't care. I'd get into the car with my feet all sandy and stuff, and you could see through the floorboards. But I loved it because you didn't really care. It was more about the beach vibe and being relaxed and laid back. And I'll never forget Big Wave David, the seafood bar. I locked my keys in the car one day. He goes, "Kid, you could leave that thing running with a full tank of gas and the windows rolled down, and nobody's going to steal that thing." So, I mean, the beater is definitely a great way to go, because, you can have a lot of fun and enjoy Hawaii. But the biggest advice I'd probably say is get involved in the community, because we are so distant from the mainland. You are going to be further away from family, totally different culture, different environments, as close to living in another country as you can get without getting outside the U.S. So a big part of it is establishing friends, getting into the community, and establishing that connection of people that can be a good support system for you. That's probably one of the biggest things I would say, and it's going to lead to more happiness while you're here, and some of that adjustment that it's going to take.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great piece of advice. Community is everything, because Hawaii is all about the connections over here. I've got my comments, but I'm going to let Dylan. Is there anything that you want to throw on this, coming from whatever perspective that you got? What advice would you give to Bailey? Because I'm sure a lot of people have asked you for advice and you've given it. What do you say?
I would kind of summarize, I think what Heidi said was, if you're going to come here as a single person on a single income, well, it depends on your income, but you have to expect to live that lifestyle, right? I mean, that's the thing, is people come here with unrealistic expectations, like they're going to get a 3-bedroom house and a great car and have a lot of money to go out and eat and all that kind of stuff. And if that's your expectation, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're willing to live a modest lifestyle and keep your costs low, it's doable. But I can also say that, my wife over the years has had plenty of teacher friends who come here, 25 years old, out of college, Teach for America type situations, where they come out to a rural school, and it ends up being really hard for them to make it, because teachers, I mean, they don't get paid great, but they don't get paid terrible in Hawaii. But, even on a $50,000 a year income, it can be a stretch to make it on your own here. So definitely plan to live simply.
Plan to live simply. Yeah, that's a good one. What I would add on to that is I had 6 months worth of savings when I came out here. And that's kind of what saved me. I came all the way to the end but with those savings, but that did sort of save me. I remember, never forget, I was sitting in my studio and I was doing my calculus. Okay, I'm spending this much on food, this much on rent. Okay, divided by the money I've got left in my bank account. The answer came back, 4.5. Like, oh my God, I got 4.5 months to go. So that definitely helps. But I would, excellent. Thanks for everyone's feedback. And to the point of community, yeah, Jessica, that's why I joined the Islander Ohana. That's exactly right. That's why I call it the Islander Ohana. This is a group, a connection for you to meet others that are on your journey, and a gateway for us to introduce you to our networks, the people that we know that can do stuff. And so that's kind of exactly what I've been trying to accomplish. So thanks, Jessica. Great to hear you got that. And Masters, any recommendation on shipping a car from San Francisco? Any strict restrictions? I don't think there's any strict restrictions. I mean, I'll be up here. I don't think any strict restrictions. You just got to get it on the boat out of San Francisco. There's only a couple of shipping companies that do it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's Pasha and Matson, maybe Horizon. I'm not sure about Horizon. Is Horizon a third? There may be 2 or 3, but look, there's only 2 or 3 companies that ship the cars. Basically, you bring the car to the dock, and there's all the documentation you could look up at their website. You have to be very careful about what you bring, title and proof of ownership and all that kind of stuff. You do that, and you'll be all set. 3 vehicles, okay, 3 vehicles to Maui. Well, that's definitely doable. When you ship to Maui or any of the other islands other than Oahu, you got to go through a 2-phase shipping. There's no direct sort of shipments to the islands of our cars go. So the cars first go to Oahu, and then you get on another ship, a barge, Young Brothers, who has, I believe, the exclusive contract on all the islands. You get on Young Brothers, and that'll take you to Maui. So planning is the word. Young Brothers is the company that will take you to the neighbor islands, and you can pick from those 3 that I mentioned earlier. Joyce shipped the car from Oakland to Big Island. It's less than $1,200. Easy, right in Hilo within 10 days. Joyce, that's awesome. And Joyce used Matson to get her car to the Big Island. Excellent. I think that takes care of that. Let's see what we got over here. What's up next? So, look, if you're not already in we talked about Ohana and about community. Are you in the Ohana? Are you on the newsletter? If you got here because of a notification in the newsletter, you're in the extended Ohana. There's the Islander Ohana, which is a focus group, a private group, which of course you're going to be able to join when the cohorts open. But I want to make sure, if you're not in the Islander Ohana, if you did not get an email that drove you to the site today, make sure you click on the description. There's links in the description. Signed up and get on that list. Okay. And then, yeah, Master, you are very welcome. Let's see. I got a question over here. Let's hit this one on veterans benefits. So Dylan, this one's for you. I think you'll be best to answer this question. So this is from Kev. And Kev, he's a US and Canadian, and he says, I see a few benefits for veterans in Hawaii. Can Dylan speak to them at all? Are there any limits on property tax discounts, for example, any VA perks or problems? There's a lot of retired military in Hawaii, and so I'm looking at this as a life option. And Kev, also, Dylan, thank you for your service. And if still accurate, continued service. Yes, Dylan, thank you for your service. You want to speak to Kev's question about this?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Kev. If you're 100% disabled, I believe there's a additional property tax exemption. But if you're an owner occupant, and then there's also age discounts, so you're going to get those regardless if you're a veteran or not. Obviously, the VA loan is a very good benefit to use. Honestly, in this market, it's almost a disadvantage though, because if you're doing a very low down payment loan program, whether it's VA or USDA or FHA, it puts you kind of at the back of the pack in terms of a multiple offer situation where cash is going to be first, and then the highest down payments are going to be next, and then those low down payment loans are going to be on the lower end. So in this market, it's not always a good thing if you're looking at it from a competition standpoint. There is a lot of retired military in Hawaii, but one thing to consider is that all of the military facilities are on Oahu. So if you live on a neighbor island, Maui, Kauai, or the Big Island, we don't have any VA hospitals. We don't have any commissaries or PXs or anything like that. They're small military installations, but they don't have the those other benefits that are usually one of the best things about having a retired ID is you get all those other benefits. So that's one thing to consider.
And Dylan, just to clarify for the sake of our audience and for Kev, number one, thank you for your military service. And are you still in the military? And if you are, what's your current status that you're able to disclose?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm in the Army Reserve now. I was on Maui this past weekend with my troops. I have a platoon in Maui, a platoon in Oahu, and then the headquarters is here in Hilo. So I'm just coming up on the end of my time as a company commander for that engineer company. So it's been a great run, but it's our time is limited and how long we can stay in certain jobs. So I got to move on here shortly in the next month or two. But what was it? Was that the question, or was it another part of that? Okay, that was the question. I thought there was another part of that question.
Yeah, no, that was the question. Yeah, thank you. If you're, he was asking if you're still in service, and I kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of share where you're at.
The other thing about VA loans that I always remind people of is that you have to have a very conforming property to easily use a VA loan. Like if the property's weird or it's got unpermitted space, or you got to have a really kind of standard property. And I've seen many the VA appraisers are much more strict than a normal appraisal would be. So I've seen many VA loans, not closed based on something that comes up in the appraisal. So all stuff, just expectations. And, I always have that conversation with folks when they're preparing to use their VA loan is we have to take that into account in terms of what properties we're looking at and what we offer on. But I've used my VA loan. It's great. So highly recommended. Yeah.
Excellent, man. I think thanks for that advice. I'm sure that's going to be helpful for the veterans who wanted to take advantage of that. Why don't we do this? We're about 40 minutes after the hour. I want to make sure that we've talked about that we've gone over our diamonds and deals, and if we have time, we'll go over some more questions that are coming in. So here's I really have come to really enjoy this part of the show. This is when Heidi and Scott and Dylan have put together some properties that they think are either diamonds or deals or both. And it's aspirational. It's to give you a sense of kind of what's available in Hawaii, to give you a piece of it. And let's take a look over here. We're going to start with this one. This is the Maui property. So this is, wow. So Heidi, this is Wailuku Maui, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, 839,000. So Master, this one's for you. Heidi, what are we looking at here?
So this is an older plantation style home with an amazing ocean view. The home was built in 1951. The lot's a little over 10,000 square feet and offered at $839,000, which is below the median price point on Maui. So yeah, interesting opportunity. It has a lot of character. According to the listing agent's comments, you could possibly build an ohana on this site as well.
And ohana on the site is what the term that we use for a second residence, a second unit on this property. Is that right, Heidi?
Yes.
Yeah. 10,000 square feet. That's a pretty good size lot for Hawaii standards. And, it's kind of funny. I look at this house and the house that we moved into 25 some odd years ago, real similar. Actually, that doorway that I'm seeing in front of us, we had almost the exact same thing that led out to our backyard. That looks like a single family home, a single wall construction as well. This is an old classic home. I hope it's in good shape. It looks nice. This is I'm going to call that, I don't know if it's a great deal or not, but Heidi, from what you've been saying earlier, you just kind of a little while ago said that, you should kind of plan for a 1.5. This is almost half that, and it's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I think this one is for you, Master. Okay, thank you, Heidi. Let's move on to the next one over here. Here is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath leasehold Honolulu condo listed for $375,000. Scott, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so I'm using this as a leasehold example for people on the opposite end of the spectrum. Everyone always gets kind of scared off by leasehold, and this is probably one of the best leases you can find around. I mean, a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo with a 1 parking stall, ton of amenities, great pool, barbecue area, exercise area, close to downtown Honolulu. I mean, if this were fee simple, it would probably be $550,000. So for leasehold, you can get it for $375,000. and it's it's 628 square feet with 110 square foot lanai. So it's got a good lanai. It's got great views. The interesting thing is the lease fee on it is or the lease rent on it is $65 a month. It's got a periodic step up, but it's set till 2070. So it's got basically a 50-year lease on it where there is no renegotiation period and a low lease. So, I've sold this before, and I had a buddy of mine said, yeah, it's leasehold. And I said, dude, how long are you going to keep this thing? 5-7 years like most people do? Then you still have this long lease that you can finance it. It's set. There's no uncertainty with it whatsoever. You probably won't even be alive by the time the lease ends, right? So this is probably one of the best leasehold properties on the island, one of the best lease structures. So I kind of use it as a learning point for this show.
It's a great example. We've got a course in the Islander Ohana. We're going to be publishing an edition. We're going to be expanding the courses in the Islander Ohana, and we are going to have a course on leasehold in addition to a course on real estate that'll be available to Islander Ohana members. I think not everyone knows what leasehold is. Leasehold, you don't actually own the property, you lease it. Kind of like the way you lease a car, but what you're saying, Scott, is here there's a 50-year lease. Is that what it is? 50 years. So this lease quote expires in 2070. If I read you right, yes.
Yeah, the most important things are set lease for a long period of time. To get 30-year financing, you need 6 more years left on the lease than the length of the financing. So
and this has 50. Got it. So you need a minimum 36. This has 50 years on it.
And there's no renegotiation. So you look at that contract and the periodic increases in the lease rent are set. You know what they're going to be for those 50 years.
Oh, okay. So so there are in some lease contracts there is renegotiation along the way. This one, you know what that it's already been negotiated. You already know what those step increases are going to be over the course. So it's a very predictable property. So you know exactly kind of what you're getting involved with. This is look, the very first property I bought when I was in my early 20s was a leasehold, and I kept it for I think maybe 2-3 years, and I sold it, and I just got lucky, doubled my money. I didn't know that, but it was a great buy. It was the best thing I ever did.
That's what I did on my first property in 2001. It was leased. The landowner had died. The 3 sons had inherited the property. I figured they would sell the fee. I took that risk and I bought the fee. I was able to buy the land a year later. So it ended up being a good guess. Even better.
Yeah, even better. Excellent. Great. Thanks, Scott. Let's move on. Let's hit our big on property. I always love the diversity. You guys do a great job of bringing up a diverse property. So here we go with Dylan's diamond or deal or both. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 5 acres, Kealakekua, $890,000. Dylan, what are we looking over here, man?
Yeah, just a total deal. This is actually right near where I live. So there's a big subdivision called Kona Scenic. You can kind of see it to the right of this home in the big picture on the right side. And so this 5 acres, a lot of times farms on the Big Island, especially like 5 acres or more, they're up, a dirt road or a gravel road or a busted up old farm road. And access is sometimes an issue. You can't drive a car to it. You got to have an SUV or a truck. And this is 5 acres, and it feels like it's right in a neighborhood because of the great access, but it's a beautiful piece of property, gentle grade. It's got mature macnut trees, lots of coffee on it, mango, citrus, all kinds of stuff. And the house is nothing special. The house is in great shape, but it's pretty much original. But the owners have taken immaculate care of it, so it's ready to go. It's the 4th bedroom doesn't have a closet, but could be like an office or something. But awesome little farm property. I mean, I saw this hit the market 2 days ago, and I was like, man, this thing is a steal. So if you're looking for a farm type property, really good area, right below the hospital, right below, banks and, the post office. I mean, it's in a good area in Kealakekua. Awesome opportunity here.
Man, so this is a diamond and a deal. So it would be just if somebody wanted to kind of operate a small quote farm, 5 acres, like you said, macnut trees, mango, coffee trees. Heidi, we can get someone to brew coffee for us over here and have some fresh coffee, some genuine, true blue Kona coffee, coffee from Kona on Kona trees on your property. That is awesome. Hey, thanks, gang. Let's catch up on some comments over here that have been coming in. First, a question from Michael. Dylan, is this South Kona, south or north Kona?
I guess it depends on your perspective. South Kona is a big area. I mean, I would call this South Kona because it's about 10 minutes south of Kailua Kona, but I mean, it's still pretty central. It's not like South Kona where, you can get pretty far down 45 minutes to an hour away from Kailua Kona, but this thing is on county water. It's got all the utilities. I mean, just very rare. A lot of times farms like this are on catchment, far off the highway, further up the mountain, stuff like that.
So this has like basically what I'm hearing you say, Dylan, is this has sort of quote modern conveniences, right? Things that we all expect. It's got a road. You can actually drive to the property. It's got county water. That's awesome. And Kinaya, you better get a hold of Dylan, man. She could put her 3 boys to work on that farm. Yeah, that would be the trick. That's what you want to do. So let's see, Jim here. The show went by way too fast. Speech to text that doesn't come out right. We're trying to pack it all in over here, Jim. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're trying to do our best to make it enjoyable for everybody. Hope you all are liking it too. Looks like there's a lot of side conversation here, which is great. Master is getting with Joyce on the mats, and yep, absolutely great. That's totally awesome. Okay, we got some time actually. This is great, and so let's go back. There was a topic that came in that I thought was had a couple of there was a couple of questions that came in, and I want to kind of continue with this one. And this is related to retirement communities. Let me bring this up on the screen over here. And this also is Jim David also gave us a similar question here. Any assisted living communities for seniors on Hawaii Island? So Jim, we're going to cover this topic right now, and we're going to kind of hit it. There's a couple of questions that popped in, so we're going to start this conversation. So this first one came in from Denise. Is there any housing on the Big Island or any other island that is for 55 plus small homes in a community? Don't need much, really. I don't need much, really downsized. Grew up in Kailua many years ago. Became an airline captain for Southwest and a nurse, and just retired from both. Just want to have the simple life. Want to come back to home with my 2 dogs. I live in a condo in Gulfport Beach. Is this possible? Do we have some kind of retirement communities for the 55 plus? Same thing. Question over here from Denise. I think actually the same one, she actually asked it twice. So we got Denise asking about 55 plus, and we have the other question that popped in about 55 plus from Jim David. So why don't we start this out? Heidi, why don't you kind of lead us on this one and tell us what we've got, if anything. If you were, what do you say for the folks that 55 plus that are looking for a friendly type of a community? What's available on Maui? We'll go Heidi, then we'll go Dylan, and then we'll go Scott.
Well, there's definitely some great communities to look into on Maui. So unlike, I think some other states have communities where you have to be 55 plus to live in the community. So on Maui, I'm not aware of communities that have CC&Rs or restrictions saying that you have to be 55 plus to buy here, but there's definitely communities where most people that live there are retirement age, moving to Maui, where I feel like you could definitely find that type of community, that type of lifestyle. But there's no technical rules that say you have to be a certain age to live there. It just happens to be a lot of people 55 plus live there.
So basically, it's more of a demographic kind of a question, as opposed to, like you said, there's no, like, for example, there are some retirement communities on the mainland that you cannot move in unless someone in the household or both are over 50, over 55, or something like that. Dylan, how would you respond to Denise and to Jim David, who asking for stuff that's for the 55 plus?
Yeah, same on the Big Island. We don't have any like exclusive like retirement type communities. We do have communities that more predominantly have retirees in them, which is kind of everywhere. But yeah, we don't have there is one like assisted living facility, which is more of an apartment complex that has different levels of care if you need kind of full-time care, or if you just need meals and cleaning taken care of and things like that. That's called the Regency at Hualalai. But yeah, no 55 plus, exclusive communities on the Big Island.
Scott, what are some options? I know there's a condo build. There's a couple of condo units that are for assisted living. Scott, what's available on Oahu?
So 55 and over communities, not on the single family home side. We just don't have the land for it. If they're going to do it, they're going to go vertical. There's a couple of condo options in town, Kaneohe and Mililani. I think there's like a townhouse option, but those are kind of done in-house. Assisted living, we have plenty of options for that, but the 55 and older community components, not on the single family. They are going to be on the condo side.
So I hear you say that if you're 55 over and you're looking for a retirement community, you're going to have much better, let's say, luck in looking at it from a demographic point of view, saying, hey, where are the neighborhoods where the retirees are kind of are kind of moving to? Dylan, your comment seems to indicate that it's the entire Big Island is one big retirement community.
It's the resorts, right? I mean, you can park in a resort and you have all the best amenities you can possibly have, right?
Yeah, that's for darn sure. And Scott, what I'm hearing you say is, if you want a strict kind of a retirement community where it's like you have to be kind of over a certain age, there are condo options available on Oahu, but there are no single family neighborhoods, no gated communities, so to speak, right, where it's gated and there's homes in there that are stuff like that. Excellent, great. Got a question here from asthmatic Ray, and Ray asks, how are some ways to make an offer more appealing or a greater chance of being accepted? Well, offer a higher price. That's the easy one. Other than offering a price that's higher, what really quickly, let's go around. Let's go clockwise. Heidi, Scott, and Dylan. Heidi, what's one thing you would say to make your offer more appealing other than price?
Well, I think understanding what the seller's looking for and what's important to the seller. There's lots of things that can be negotiated in a contract other than price. I mean, just a few are closing date. I mean, there's just so many. They're all
right.
Toolbox. There's
So know the seller. Basically, what you're saying is, this comes down to having. This implies a relationship, meaning working with a good realtor who's got a relationship that can talk to the seller's realtor and kind of find, hey, what's the deal? Scott, do you have an example of what you can do to make an offer more appealing?
I do. Last week I gave away a free tip, right, with the Ginsu knives, and this one I'm calling these my jackrabbit.
But you had to order by midnight tonight. So go ahead.
You do. And you'll have to on this one as well. I call these my jackrabbit tips. I think I sent all you guys that video, the two jackrabbits fighting, and that's basically every realtor trying to get their buyer's offer accepted. So my jackrabbit tip for the day is, if you're able to say that you're going to make up the difference if the property doesn't appraise at the purchase price, that's going to be a significant benefit for you in negotiation. And why I like VA loans is because, yes, you can do 100% financing. There's a VA clause in the VA addendum that says if it doesn't appraise, then the buyer at the purchase price, the buyer can cancel. And I'm writing language in that more or less says buyer is exercising their option to be able to bring in that difference and will up to a certain amount or any point. And I had it on the 1.525 million transaction. We were only doing a $500,000 loan. It was a VA loan. They could go to 100% if they wanted. We had coverage on that appraisal shortage for almost $1 million. And so therefore we were able to get into first position. Jackrabbit tip for the day.
Jackrabbit tip with the Ginsu knives, but you're got to order by midnight tonight. Dylan, what's your? Oh, by the way, so Troy kind of jumps in. Show us fantastic. I'm so glad you feel that way, Troy. I've got fantastic people. Heidi's fantastic, Scott's fantastic, and Dylan's is fantastic. Dylan, give us the fantastic tip.
So I have a whole 5-minute video on this on my YouTube channel. I just did a couple of weeks ago, but a couple of quick tips. First one is, consider writing a buyer's letter. So I had a condo that I put on the market last week, got 3 over asking price cash offers, and the one that had the most compelling buyer letter is the one that won. So it doesn't work in every case, but it's worth doing. Maybe a couple of cute pictures of you and your family, or what you're explaining how this is your dream, and try and appeal to the seller's emotions to get a competitive edge if all things are created equal. And then the other one is, we keep talking about working with a good realtor, but I have one of my agents had a listing and got multiple offers, and one of the better offers was a total mess. There was just stuff not checked in the contract. It was just a messy contract. And so if you're looking at 2 contracts as a realtor and you're advising your client, and you got to write a counter that you have to fix 15 things inside of the contract because it's just messy and sloppy, that's going to put you at a disadvantage if you're using a realtor that doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't know how to write a contract. So that's a big piece of it. And then also having that relationship, because listing agents are also advising clients. And if there's 3 or 4 different agents they have to choose from, they are going to be biased towards the agent that they want to work with, that they know does a good job, that brings qualified buyers, that is going to do their part of the, do their part of the transaction, help solve problems, all of those types of things. So those are little intangible things that you can do in order to be more competitive.
And Judy, who says, I've already learned this week to listen to your realtor when making the offer. It's not all about throwing a bunch of money out there. And Dylan, Judy's working with you folks. And Judy, aren't you glad you're working with Dylan? That's kind of what it's all about. So go ahead, Dylan.
And an important thing for me too is I've been losing out on a lot of offers lately, and it's frustrating. But then when I see them close, and I can go back to my client and say, I wouldn't even let you pay that much for that house because that's insane. Like, I mean, like, you cannot pay $800,000 for a house that's in a $600,000 neighborhood, right? I mean, it's just, to me, it's malpractice that realtors are doing that. But that's one of the things where, you can maybe be disappointed if you don't actually win that competitive bidding situation, but you can feel better that it was a good financial decision at the end of the day, because that's happened a lot lately. As you're seeing properties close in areas, whether they're sight unseen or the buyers are not familiar with the market and their realtor's not advising them properly and letting them overpay when they really shouldn't be. And they're going to regret that in the future. So.
And Judy agrees. There you go, man. That says it all right there. Thanks, Judy. Thank you for that confirmation. Sherman, aloha from Tennessee. Welcome, Sherman. We are glad that you are here. Hey, gang. That is. I think I got all the questions out of the way, actually, and it is time for us to call it to bring this to a close. And I'm going to bring up my little closing thought slide over here. We do a quick round of closing motivational thoughts or closing ideas. Let's go right down the line here. Heidi, Scott, and Dylan. Heidi, what's your closing thought for today for everybody?
What you focus on expands. So focus on your goals, focus on where you want to be, where you want to go, and focus on the positive.
Well said. What you focus on grows. You get more of what you focus on, whatever it is that you focus on, positive or negative. Scott, what's your closing thought?
Enjoy the simple moments, and this is directed straight at me. I mentioned earlier, my refrigerator's been empty, and I've just been running and going. And I took a little time to take a swim. I was actually able to sneak out in the middle of the day and have a swim, and it felt amazing to get back out there and get out in the sun and get out in the ocean and just take a little bit of time to enjoy that moment. Yeah,
I call that take time to smell not the roses, but I take time to smell the plumerias. That's what I say. A lot of times going in the Scott, I don't know if you get this, but I get it. There's like a hesitancy. I feel like, oh, should I go? Well, I got all the stuff I got to do. And I kind of push myself to go. And then when I go, I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I went. I'm so glad I went body surfing or whatever. That's my personal favorite thing. Mark's happy. Good show, mahalo. Thank you, Mark. Glad you're all here. Dylan. Give us the Dylanism, man. What's your closing thought for today? You're muted.
I'll point to the sign on the wall. Stay hungry, stay humble. I try to remind myself to continue to work hard and strive for more, but be humble about it and be thankful for the things that you have. But it doesn't mean that you're dissatisfied if you're trying to get more. And I think a lot of times trying to get here or buy a piece of property is a big ambitious goal, and you gotta stay hungry and work hard to do that. But you always got to stay humble and remember that. My wife keeps me very grounded, reminds me that, I always tell her, most people think I'm pretty important and listen to me except for you, so.
That is, I have to say, as a happily married man, we're coming up, we're going to have our 30th, we're having our 29th anniversary this year. Nothing, there's one of the fabulous things of having a good spouse, a good complementary spouse, is you get put in your place, right? My joke is, I come home from work and my wife says, so what'd you do today? I said, well, I saved the planet. I saved people from disaster. I recovered some computer systems. I've helped people change their lives. And my wife say, Yeah, that's great. Now do the dishes. And so that's the way, that's kind of how it all flies. All right, folks. Hope you all enjoyed it. We had a great show with you all. Great. Thank you, Heidi Dollinger from the Big Island, Scott Startzman from Oahu, and Dylan Nonaka from the Big Island. Thank you all, folks. Monica is my hero, Dylan. There, great show. There you go. Awesome, folks. Have a great one. Bid you all a big aloha.
Hello, everybody.
Aloha.